you so much for coming. I want to extend you guys a real polyglot welcome. So, здравствуйте, hola, и 大家好, and ahlan wa sahlan. My name is Ernestine Lyons, and I am the proud founder of Ling Global. Ling Global Education is a program that I founded that's all about creating global citizens. And to me, that's giving the voiceless a voice, and it is opening doors of opportunity to be more, do more, and see more, and connect. And so I'm gonna start off with a language journey and tell the story of a girl who defied the odds, and she beat stereotypes, and she lived her dream. So that's my story. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, in the U.S., and here are some of my language loves. Of course, there's Spanish, Mandarin Chinese, Arabic, Japanese, Hindi, Russian, Icelandic, French, Turkic, and then there's Korean and Xhosa. So it's sort of an interesting story. I grew up around neighborhoods that looked like this, where there was a lot of low income and high crimes. So high crime rate, low income, and it was sort of a bleak outlook growing up. In addition to that, the schools were overpopulated, and so my mom decided to homeschool my siblings and I, and all three of us were given a language. My brother was given German, I was given Spanish, and my sister French. And these languages weren't normally offered at our schools, so we were doing this on our own. We found tutors, we found opportunities to go out into the community and try to connect with immigrant populations who spoke these languages. And I remember I had the little Berlitz cassette tapes, and those Berlitz cassette tapes kind of became my friends when it wasn't always safe to play outside. And that was my first real friendship. And I also loved going to the library and, connecting with the world by reading about faraway places that I thought I'd never be able to go to. And so if Spanish was my first real friend, then Hindi became my first true love. And so I started studying Hindi, but me in true Ernestine nature, I have to truly embrace something in order to take it on. I became this persona. Here's me studying a classical Indian dance called Bharatanatyam. And because I was learning Hindi, I had to learn all about the dance forms of India. So there's Odissi, Kathak, and there is, of course, Bharatanatyam, which I spent 2 years studying. Very difficult, but very fun. And so here is another picture of me on the other side, 2 years later, having way too much fun reenacting a Bollywood movie dance routine scene. Way too much fun. And so I found another love soon, and that was Arabic. My local librarian, Mr. Moy, he sort of encouraged me to practice Arabic because he said, you could work for the State Department or the CIA, and you could really make something of yourself if you know this language. It's hard to learn, but you can do it. And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. I'm gonna become a secret agent, or I'm gonna become like a, top spy, and learn all these fun languages. But it was only a matter of time before I found a new love. Mandarin Chinese, or Putonghua. And so I decided I was gonna go to China. I wasn't just gonna learn this language this time. I'm gonna really, really get good at it. And so I found scholarships and I traveled to China. I got a bachelor's degree in Asian studies, and I spent some time in China. Yeah, it was super exciting. But it was only a matter of time before I started cheating on Chinese with a new love, Russian. Oddly enough, the story of why I got interested in Russia, it happened when I was studying in China. So I met this really handsome Russian guy, and I was determined I was going to win his love by learning his language fluently, because he once told me, don't speak my language because you're raping it. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna show you, and I'm gonna win you over too. And so, long story short, it didn't end up happening between me and the Russian guy, but I still love the language. And I was able to keep traveling, and I eventually got a master's degree in international relations, and many adventures and friendships around the world, and one odd Polish film that I starred in, Polish language film, later. I had traveled to 25 countries around the world, and 25 cities around the world, and I had visited 12 countries, and I spoke 4 languages, and I was ready to start my career as a diplomat. I was going to be a spy. I was going to change the world. I applied for work with the U.S. Department of State, and it didn't work out. It was sad, but moving on. I applied for a job with the CIA, and they said, pack your bags, you're coming to D.C., you're going to be a secret agent. I'm like, sweet, okay. And then they rescinded the offer. I applied for a job with the United Nations. It didn't work out. I was sort of heartbroken, but I soon discovered my true calling was giving back. You see, when I grew up, I didn't see people like me doing the things I wanted to do. To be a young black girl in the city of Detroit coming from poverty, you don't really know what's possible for you except everything that's around you, and it's pretty bleak. So I was at a Chinese language conference, and a teacher came up to me from a Detroit public school, and she asked me to speak to her class. And she said that the students, she was trying to say it like, they look like you, but they don't see why they should learn Chinese. I'm like, wait a minute, they have Chinese? I didn't have Chinese in high school. I mean, they should be happy. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll come talk to your kids. Yeah, I'll talk to them. And I expected them to sort of be very apathetic, sort of, all right, who cares? And because that's what their outlook was. Well, how am I going to use this language? What am I going to do with Chinese? How is this going to matter to me when I can barely really afford new clothes? But a funny thing happened. I talked to them about my travels to China. I talked to them about Russia. I talked to them about South Africa. I can't talk. And I connected. You could see this look in their eyes. They were ignited. They were inspired. And at the end, I didn't expect questions. I'm like, any questions? Every hand shot up. And it was, how did you go to college? How did you apply for this scholarship? What was China like? What was it like leaving the state? And some of these kids, they told me until they met me, they never knew they could leave the city of Detroit, let alone the country, let alone go to anywhere around the world. This was an impossibility to them. From there, I knew I wanted to show these kids how they can defy the odds. So I founded Ling Global, and my mission is to show children how to just transcend their surroundings and be more, do more. It impacts a desire to give back to the community, and because I've had an experience of once a kid, or even in my own experience, once I left the country and I had an amazing life-altering opportunity or experience, I wanted to come back and recreate it or share it with everybody, tell everybody about it, and change their perspective. Because I know meeting people from around the world, it changed my life. I thought differently. And I think, honestly, language was that tool for communication that really gave me a chance to shine. Because there's a famous Nelson Mandela quote that I really love. And when you speak to a man in a language that he understands, you speak to his mind. But when you speak to him in his native tongue, you speak to his heart. And I think at the core of us, we all really want human connection. So Ling Global's executive summary is a lot of stuff here. And so, but at the core of it, it's all about making sure students, and particularly students of color, coming from, underprivileged backgrounds, making sure that they have examples of what they can do, how they can travel, how they can learn a language, and why that language is important. But why is this relevant to an international audience here at the Polyglot Conference? Because everybody deserves a chance. Everybody wants to feel love, empathy, a connection. They want to feel valued, like they are seen for being a human being. This is why we watch movies in foreign languages. This is why we watch movies and TV shows from different countries, because we see ourselves in that person. We feel that resonance, and we understand the emotions. We understand fear and anguish and joy, and that connects everybody. And then most of all, these kids, they can connect with another human being who is not from the hood, and they're given a new voice. They're able to then speak with clarity and bravery, and they're given the courage to dream bigger. Now that child can be seen as an intelligent, important person, and that most of all, they matter. Because I know in the States, growing up, especially for me, sometimes I felt Black lives didn't matter, did not matter. Because when people look at me, they just see, oh, she's just another person who's not contributing to society. She's unintelligent. But that is not true. There's a whole other set of issues that Ling Global and my vision sort of wanted to tackle, and that's the issue of language learning in America. We've all heard the joke that, what do you call somebody who speaks like 2 languages bilingual, and what do you call somebody who speaks 3 languages trilingual or polyglot, and then 1 language, an American. And so it only about 20 to 15% of Americans speak a foreign language versus 56% of Europeans know maybe a 3rd or a 4th language. Americans just generally don't see the need. It's like, oh, when I travel, I go to Florida, and that's it. And so I want to dispel that sort of, like, what's the need? Why do I need to learn a language? Let's dispel that myth. But there's also a unique set of issues that faces my community. Literacy rates in Detroit are super low, and they're low amongst both adults and children. I've heard different quotes out there, but 47% is a number that I've heard, that most people are only 47% literate. And I think that stems from a lack of resources, and not from people just not wanting to do good or do better. There's a lack of teachers who are qualified to teach. Children really just don't see the relevance in going to school to get an education. Why learn about Shakespeare when I'm scared my house is going to get broken into? Or how am I going to put food on the table? What is the utility in learning? And then there's also this factor of, these are mostly poor children, and they are poor Black kids who have been written off by society. They're seen as bad, unintelligent, criminals, thugs, and they won't ever amount to anything or contribute to society. But that is not true. I see opportunities, and I see how it's possible to change that mind state, that state of mind. Mindset is the word I'm looking for. Because when you see what's possible, there are no limits to what you can do. And the biggest way to do that is to get that voice through language. Because there's agency in breaking communication barriers. Learning a new language gives you a new voice. You grow to appreciate your native language more. You get better in other skills like math and science. And you're not going to be seen as a problem. When somebody just looks at me dismissively because of my background, and then they learn, oh, she went to China. Wow, she speaks Mandarin. She speaks Arabic. She went to Russia. Then I'm seen as a person for the first time. And it really bothers you sometimes. But then you know you have broken the stereotype and you have defied the odds, because now you're seen as a person and not a problem. It also, to me, language has allowed me to meet new people and have different perspectives and a whole new train of thought that I never thought possible, and then engage in teachable moments. I can't tell you how many times I've had to tell somebody about, like, just America and what life is like there. And no, we're not all rich, and no, we're not all this, and we're not all white. And, it's just opening your mind to a new perspective. And I think Americans also need to benefit from this as well, looking internally and seeing who they are. The biggest impact here that I want to make with Ling Global is that I've been gathering this research since 2015, and the biggest thing that happened was there was a shift in how the kids view themselves. Once they started learning a foreign language and they saw that it was possible to travel, they felt better about themselves and how they can contribute to society. Their self-worth improved, their grades improved, and then their outlook on the future. These are my students here, and these girls, I talked to them in 9th grade, and they were the same girls who told me I didn't know that I could leave the country. And now they graduated last year, and they've gotten scholarships, like all 3 of them have gotten scholarships to travel abroad to Korea, and one of them wants to teach English in Korea. And to me, that's amazing. So in conclusion, I want to end with a call to action. So if you all could take out your phones and follow Ling Global, follow us on Instagram, and because I want to ignite a revolution and get everybody to see just how language can change lives. And follow us on Facebook and just be global citizens. You have to be the change you want to see in the world. Let's make language more equitable and attainable for all. And I challenge all of you to never let a lack of resources keep you from being resourceful. Thank you. Now, I did want to make it a little bit different this time. Instead of opening up for just questions, I kind of want to, maybe just a shout out from the audience. I want to know, what does being a global citizen mean to you? How would you see that? What does that mean to you? All right. Seeing the whole world. And having a view of the whole world. I love that answer. It's definitely yes. And we got another response over there. Mm-hmm.
When you ask me where I'm from, I'll give you a 5-minute monologue.
Nice. I like that.
I actually recently answered an essay question that was pretty much the same thing as this, and my main point was that communication is a two-way street, and it's as important to emphasize your openness to let others understand you, as well as your desire to understand others.
All right.
So it's just openness with curiosity. Yeah, transparency.
Thank you. I love that. I have a question over here.
I think for me, global citizenship is knowing that we're not defined by our borders, or that our flags don't represent languages, and that, we're more than our appearance and the citizenship on our passport.
Awesome. One more, and then I'll take questions.
For me, being a global citizen means that I'm on a journey of discovery, discovering parts of my humanity. And so in that journey, the hope and the goal is to discover the totality of who I am as a collection of everything I see, hear, feel, and experience in the world that belongs to me. Because after all, I'm a citizen of the world and not of just one country.
That is awesome. You guys are all an inspiration to me. I just want to say that. I mean, like, so many people from all over the world and speaking so many languages, and it really shows that you're seeking to connect, to be connected, and to, I think at the end of it, we're all just seeking love, and that's why we want to connect. And we all want to feel that.
So you mentioned that your mother homeschooled you and basically assigned a language to each kid. I'm going to assume that's not like what everybody does where you grew up. What did she get the idea that you're going to learn Spanish and you're going to learn German and you're going to get, exposed to other things?
My mom is a very strange person, so honestly, she came up with that idea because it is not very common in the States for, like, this kid's gonna learn that language. And, when I got older, we had a little sister who was, a couple years apart. And I'm like, she's gonna learn Farsi. That's gonna be her thing. And didn't work out, but I think it was definitely something that was, I didn't realize it at the time. It was very different. And I just kind of assumed everybody did that. And then when I grew up, I was kind of like, oh, why you want to learn all these languages? That's weird, man. Whatever. And, so it's definitely not common. But I feel like I should ask her, why the 3 languages? Why couldn't we just all learn Spanish or all learn German? So... yeah, I think it's something I definitely think kind of shaped who I am, and I'm glad that she did it.
On the same topic, your siblings, are they as into languages as you are now?
I think my little sister, even though she didn't pick up Farsi, she has become a little bit more international. She's a international chef is how she's branded herself. And, she's traveled all over the place, and she actually, has all of these cooking workshops. And, she... I still think I speak more languages than her, but, she definitely kind of takes it up the next level,
I couldn't resist. I don't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you for your speech. And you said the word connect. And before you asked about global citizenship, and I think for me, definition would be one word: connection. You create connection to someone else, and we become connectors. And that's what you are for me. And I think we need more people like you. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I would like to share with you that I currently live in the United States in Connecticut, and I attend the African American Linguist Organization. There's a nationwide organization that celebrates diversity, and especially that shares your mission and your vision. And so I would like to invite you formally to connect, and I will provide you with the information. But I also want to mention that the oldest language organization in the United States is a Black one.
I didn't know we had language organizations in the
Yes.
United States.
It is. It's the oldest one,
Wow.
and so I just wanted to share that with you. So there are opportunities for connection and celebration of what one does not see often enough.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can find the information on Facebook if you type in African American Linguist. And it was founded by 2 dynamite African American women.
Oh. I can relate to being dynamite. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I really would like, if you haven't had a chance to following us like on the social media that way, because like I'd like to post some of the videos. I didn't have a lot of videos of like me interacting with the kids, because there's always issues of parents having a say, and you have to get forms signed and get permissions to release those kind of photos of people's kids, and then also I'm conducting the workshops and things, so I'm not taking pictures, and so. I'd like to be able to show like some of the videos and things of how the kids are interacting, what they get out of it, and just some of the stats on how they feel about the world and the languages that they choose.
Thank you very much, Ernestine, for a round of applause.